think one of that's so easy to overlook is that everyone can think, it's an admin-based system or it's a production system. So I understand the fundamentals of what my business does, fine. Why do I need training? You wouldn't buy a machine tool you've never had or a new control and not take the training, because even if you can fathom some of it out, you won't get the best results from that.
Hello and welcome to this week's MTD podcast. I'm joined once again by Geoff Gartland from PSL Datatrack. Now, I think we confirmed your role last time, but just to clarify, MD, CEO, T-Boy?
I think there's various terms, Colin. I won't repeat them all.
Okay, but thank you once again for joining us. It's great to hear you. I can see you, but I don't know if the other guys will. But more importantly, is that fair? We are joined by Tim Moss from... Well, Tim, where are you from and what is your role?
Right, obviously, Tim Moss, Eminem Term Parts Limited, based in Redditch, West Midlands. I'm the commercial manager of the company. Also one of the family as well, unfortunately, that owns the company.
Okay, there we are. Now, I've been, a couple of things. I'm assuming, I'm getting the accent that, sort of Midlands, Birmingham, Redditch way, as you said.
Yeah, literally on 10 miles from Birmingham, so pretty close, really.
There you go. Now, I'm also very disappointed because I think Geoff sold me a bit of a I don't know. He just sold me down a garden path here, because when he said Eminem, I was expecting either someone who's a very good rapper, and I've got video here as well as audio. You ain't the real Slim Shady, are you?
Oh, sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah, so there'll be no rapping. And second, I was hoping maybe we might get some chocolates, but that's not going to happen either, is it?
Nah, well, I'm on a diet at the moment, anyway.
There we go. Never mind. So tell me, moving on very swiftly from my very poor humour, and I do apologise. Geoff's used to it, and he laughs sort of in a subtle but disappointing sort of way. Tim, I know it's in the name, but what do you guys actually do?
Right, so we're a subcontract machining company, established over 30 years now. Originally, believe it or believe it not, we started out in a pig pens on an old farm, running conventional cam automatic machines, old BSA sort of 48 and what have you, single spindle cam automatics. Also had a couple of Gridley multi-spindle conventional machines as well, that were very problematic. So as soon as we seen the opportunity to get into CNC, probably dwelled a bit on the cost of the CNC machines, but steadily took the plunge from sort of early 2000s, and now we're a fully fledged CNC machining shop.
Now, I'm going to have to ask, do you have any of those old cam autos? Because I know that they're sort of workhorses and sit in the corner, still chug away.
Yeah, to be honest, there's some companies, even in the Midlands, who still run them. They are brilliant for doing widget components, because you'll never beat the speed of one of those. But I've still got the place, but we haven't got any. We've sort of probably got rid of ours the last one back in about 2003, 2004 maybe.
Fair enough. Now, we're here to learn about your I hate to use the word journey, but I'm going to use the word journey. Your journey with Geoff and the guys at PSL. Geoff, I'll tell you what, we've had enough of listening to the real Slim Shady. Tell me about your I'm going to say it again, journey with these guys, and what happened, what did it occur, and how have you helped? And we'll get Tim to confirm all this.
Yeah. Well, I think where it all started, Tim, and like I said, correct me if my memory fades a bit, but I think when you and I first met, I think the biggest challenge you had was quotations. And I think the way you were running the business, although maybe the rest of it, the sales and purchase order process, it may not have been the most efficient manner, it worked. But your quotes was your real issue. It was outside of the normal scope. It was time consuming.
Yes.
And you were looking for a solution that you felt was tailored to subcontract precision engineering.
Definitely.
I'm going to have to ask, how did it involve envelopes, Excel spreadsheets, etc.?
Yeah, it's a heavily Excel-based system, which, to be honest, was pretty good at the time. But just looking round, and we wanted something that was a bit more modern day, I should say, something that would speed up the process and save a lot of the labour that went in. It's quite labour-intensive, our old system.
I think it's interesting as well, when you look at systems, particularly for quoting, it's amazing how many people don't have integrated quoting. They do it as a sideline utility or product. And Tim, I remember you saying to me that, you researched the market, and I won't mention any of the names that you told me at the time, but I remember you saying you had one demonstration or one visitor came in to show you how to do quotes, and they couldn't understand the concept of bringing in a piece of material and
Yes.
making it into components. They
Yeah,
could only
yeah.
understand the concept of boxes, buying and selling. And it seemed bizarre. It seemed really bizarre.
Well,
Uh,
the great thing about PSL is that obviously it's been developed purely around precision engineering. So, and I looked around and seen that many of our competitors were already using the software. So it was a no-brainer thinking, well, if they can run that software, then surely it's applicable to our own company.
So, I mean, a key point there is it is engineering. It is engineering specific, and that's all you do. You don't do boxes. Assembly, yes, you do, I suppose, but you don't do boxes, food manufacture, anything like that. It's engineering based.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
So,
100%. So we don't sell any, we don't make and market any products ourselves. We're 100% subcontract. So a lot of
yeah.
our work is repetitive work, but at the same time, we can sometimes have one-off orders that will never ever come along ever again. So we have to be able to cater for everything, really.
But that one-off order, what happens if it does come back again?
Then we've got all the history. We've got it already set up with the PSL software, so it's very easy to just pull up an old quote and modify it based on new input costs, etc. And then we can process it from start to finish with ease.
Okay, so as a ballpark, how long would it have taken you to do it? I know each quote is different, etc., but as a ballpark, how long would it have taken you to do the old quote? How long does it take with the new system? And has it won you work because of that?
Oh, definitely. For instance, we could only quote one part number at a time without going into multiple spreadsheets. With PSL, we can just literally follow it on, copy a quote, edit the info, and it's literally done within, a minute or something. Whereas before, it probably take us, I don't know, 5 minutes to do a single quote. So you've got a hell of a time saving there.
So, as I understand it, Geoff, I'm going to put you on the spot. I do it every time. It's a modular system. How many modules have you got, and what module did Tim and the team take? Is that an alliteration? I don't think so. Whatever that means.
Okay, so to date it's now 27, not the 26 it was recently. So we've added the contract review module.
Yeah, I've seen that.
In terms of where Eminem started, it was focused around quotations. So let's face it, that's the core of where everything has to start. It's where your process starts. You quote the job. You've got
Yes.
your process, you've got the material, you've got the subcon requirements and the costs associated. So then, obviously, you've got the ability to build that on into the sales and purchase order processing modules, which, okay, you took on board.
Yeah.
But obviously, in terms of the priorities you had at the time, the number one priority was get quoting improved,
Yes.
which, as you've said, it saved you that time. And then
Yeah.
the sales and purchase order processing modules, they got implemented sometime later, didn't they? When there was a
Yes.
greater demand for it.
Definitely. We went through, I mean, not to bore anybody, but we had it, obviously being a family run business, we had it probably from the start of using PSL to probably 5 years down the road. We had a constant row of issues and what have you with, people passing away and what have you, and it just sort of slowed us down a bit, really. So it was quite difficult to sort of run the business and deal with that at the same time. So we just had to prioritise things. But like I say, we started off using the cost centre modules, quoting, and we've used them from day one, and they've been brilliant for us. And obviously now we're using the system from start to finish, which is great.
I think the important thing with that, I just like to interject if I may, is that you have to develop the improvements at the speed that suits your business. We
Yes.
don't force the timescale of implementation because that would be wrong. There's always a day job you've got to do at the same time,
Yes.
and you've got to juggle your priorities in terms of yes, you can improve the efficiency of sales and purchase order processing and the related aspects, but sometimes if you're tight on resources or time, what's the biggest fire to put out at the time? And it's when it becomes the biggest fire, that's the point you say, right, let's tackle that one, let's get that under control, and then we move on from there.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
Okay, what I'm going to say, and don't take this the wrong way, Geoff. What you guys do is boring, isn't it?
It doesn't produce a nice shiny component.
That sounded exceptionally rude, and it wasn't meant to be rude. But engineers don't want to be spending ages quoting and keying all this information in. They want to have their heads in a machine, and they want to make nice shiny parts, or these complex components, whatever it is, and that's what their passion is. Doing all the admin and stuff like that. We where I am at MTD, we have to do admin and stuff like that, and it bores me sense. It really does. I'd rather be out, whether it's in Redditch or Edinburgh or Germany or wherever, doing the filming and meeting people and finding out all this new technology, doing all the paperwork. It really bores everybody's senses. But your system enables it to do. All right, you have to do the initial implementation, but once you've invested that time, it saves so much time, and it frees up a lot of time, doesn't it?
The thing is, I think what you said, Colin, is so important. Every business, it doesn't matter what you do, the admin side is always the bit that has to be done, but it's distracting. It's not what you want to do. It's not the exciting bit. It's the unwanted overhead. So you can't take it away. What you can do is compress it down into as small amount of time as possible to get you back to the activities that drive your business forward and actually make you money. So freeing up your time, it's invaluable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, something I'd like to just say, obviously relative to what Geoff just said there, I think I totally agree with what he said. But it's also good to have a system where the information is accurate. I mean, if you don't get your admin side of the company right, you might as well pack up, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at this, you took on the quotation system first, and that was 2014, so obviously pre-pandemic, which is a thing of the past now. But how easy? I mean, you've got your old systems. Engineers are looking at this thing, PSL, thinking, "Yeah, right, it sounds good. It's suitable for engineers." Two things. A, was it easy to take that transformation from what you were doing to what you're doing to PSL? And I had another question, and it's an age thing. I've forgotten that, but I'll come back. I must write these things down. I will remember it in a minute and probably cut you off halfway through. So, was it easy to implement in a nutshell?
Yeah, in general, I'd say it was, because obviously, if you look at both systems, they were both there to achieve the same goal. And it was basically, don't get me wrong, we had some, what I'd say is minor challenges. I don't think we had any massive challenges, but it's 100% to be expected when you're switching between two different systems, and there's no escape from that. But all in all, I think it was fairly straightforward, really, I'd have to say.
Certainly from our perspective, it was, Tim, and you're quite right. There's always a few things you've got to tweak, and that's where our customization is key to what we do, because Datatrack isn't one size fits all. There's no two subcontractors are the same. You may do similar things, you have similar business processes, similar machines and so on, but you've got different customers, different requirements, different materials you work with, and there's all kinds of things that have to be tailored so the system fits like a glove.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we had some customisations done, but I don't think we had anything massively done, really. It was just more to try and make the transition process as smooth as possible, and I think we did that, really, in the end.
I think we did, Tim, and I think one of the things that's always difficult, you touched on, obviously, it's a family-run business. You don't have loads of people in admin, so if you're going to make a change to your business, there's a lot of pressure involved.
Definitely.
And you've got to think about all the possible elements of risk of things not going to plan, not going smoothly. You have to go into it with your eyes wide open so that you succeed. And we're on hand to help with that process. And that's exactly what we did with you, Tim, isn't it? We just took you through the right speed. And it's been
I mean, to be honest, the people at PSL, the whole team of people, all really nice people and all very helpful and professional as well. And that's one thing that I always put, should I say, a high emphasis on when you're dealing with anybody. Is feeling confident that they're there and they're going to help you, and we 100% get that feeling with PSL.
Excellent.
We try very hard to deliver that level of service.
Okay, now two things. I did remember my question, but you've covered it, I think. So yes, you've got your 27 modules. Yes, you could buy them off the shelf, but every single machine shop is different. So every single PSL package can ultimately be different. You can bespoke them for every single engineering company.
So certainly, we have lengthy discussions to work out what the priorities are, what the business benefits are, what were the pain points that need to be tackled, and then it's a case of going through that in the right sequence.
Okay, that's good to hear. So now, yeah, we're all human, and there's always going to be things that go wrong, or misunderstandings, or whatever it might be. And I think you've already alluded to it, Tim, that you did have challenges along the way. It's as you do with any new system. But close your ears, Geoff. How was PSL in terms of support, training, and getting through those issues?
Very good, very good. Like I said previously, mentioned really good people, all trained, fully understand. No matter who you speak to on the phone, everybody has a good understanding of the system. So that's really impressive and fills you with a lot of confidence. So
Absolutely.
yeah, no complaints at all really. Not
Good.
only that, just I've known Geoff and obviously Tara now for a number of years, and they're just generally sort of good, honest people as well. And that's the sort of people you want to deal with.
Are you after a discount, Tim?
No.
No, I'm joking. It's good to. I mean, we do a lot of videos and podcasts with Geoff and the team, and it's all absolutely gushing about it. I mean, we did one with and it is Andy at AW Engineering, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just some of the things he said were just absolute gold in terms of some of the comments. He said, if I haven't got PSL, I might as well just close up and go and do something else because it's just essential to his business. But it's not about Oh, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt, Colin, but
No.
that's something Geoff said to me at one point. He said, what a lot of people fail to remember is once you do put a system like this in, essentially it is your business. So you have to keep on top of it. Any sort of MRP or manufacturing control software is only as good as the information that you're putting in at the start point. So you have to really, really put a lot of effort in with it.
Yeah, but I think if you invest that time initially, down the line, it pays off.
Oh, you
Absolutely,
reap massive results. The results you reap are massive. It's like anything, It's only you have to put the effort in to get the results out of it, and that's been really easy with PSL.
I think one of the things that's so easy to overlook is that everyone can think, it's an admin-based system or it's a production system. So I understand the fundamentals of what my business does. Fine. Why do I need training? You wouldn't buy a machine tool you've never had or a new control and not take the training, because even if you can fathom some of it out, you won't get the best results from that
No,
machine. So
100%
explore all the facilities. And it's the same, to be honest, with training to some extent. We deliver it in layers. So we want to get the fundamentals in and then build on it with the extra advanced features that are there. Not everyone needs to use everything, but we want to explore and make sure you get the best return you can rather than just a return.
Absolutely. So, as I understand it, Tim, you took on the quotations module first, and that's the first one, but you've got more now. So you took that on 2014-ish, pre-pandemic, but it's also to showcase how that, you learned on that, you trained on that, and then you've moved on to other modules. We'll come to that in a minute. But it's also highlighting how PSL have changed pre-pandemic and how you've moved, because the training now, if required, can be done in different ways. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when we first started out, with PSL back in 2014, Geoff actually came up to our factory in the West Midlands. We sat down for a day and went through all the modules, made some good notes. But like I say, I think that's since the COVID pandemic. I think any sort of training has changed now, and the thing with you can do sort of video Zoom meetings and things, and I think that's just the way forward, really. And it's been great. It's been a benefit for us and obviously for PSL as well. So.
Absolutely. I mean, as an example, not relevant to Eminem or PSL, but we're doing this podcast. I'm sitting in my office at home. Geoff's in the west wing of his mansion, and you're in your. It is a west wing today. I know normally the east wing, but I know, is that correct?
I wish it was true, Colin.
Absolutely. But we mentioned the pandemic, and I think having that occurred for us all, obviously, that also changed what you did with PSL and the modules and things like that. Is that correct? Or can you sort of build on that and tell me more about it, Geoff and Tim?
Tim, I remember us having a phone call. I was in the car coming back from somewhere. It was with yourself and your dad, and you'd come to the conclusion that you really needed to press on and improve the sales and purchase order processing controls you had throughout the business.
Definitely.
How could it be accomplished? And obviously, in that discussion, we talked about the fact that face-to-face whole days bombard you with information isn't the best use of time, because taking you out of the business for a whole day is really difficult.
Yeah.
And that's when we agreed that, yeah, we need to do it via Zoom. It's obviously the pandemic way of doing things, but it suits the way of breaking the training into bite-sized segments and gave you that ability to practice between sessions.
Yeah, definitely, Geoff. That was massive for us. But another thing as well, I'd like to just say about PSL compared to other systems that we initially looked at. I think it's quite self-explanatory, and it's very easy to grasp as well. I've looked at some systems, and you look at the screens, and you're just absolutely bombarded with tabs and different coloured buttons and that. And you look at PSL, and it's just simple and it's logical.
That's it, nice and simple. So a very simple system to use, logical,
Yeah.
intuitive, well, not a couple of buttons, but it just flows through nicely from initial quotation right through to the end when you're getting the money through the door, because you won loads of business.
Yeah. No, it's easy to use, and of course, what you have to remember, especially in manufacturing companies, there's a lot of older people who haven't really been educated too greatly on computers. So PSL it's made to sort of bring people into using computers, and they can get to grasp with it easy. For instance, our warehouse staff, they've really took to it and commented out how much easier it's made their day-to-day jobs, basically.
Tim, do you think they've also enjoyed the fact they can get into something that hasn't been difficult?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Just the time saving of booking in materials, raising delivery notes, just a lot easier. And we've got all the information at the click of a button as well.
No, and it's great to see the buy-in from other members of staff like it. And it's just great. Just building on from what you said a moment ago, Tim, you said about it being logical. Colin, I don't think I've ever told you this, but PSL, we used to actually promote, and we used to use the terms practical, simple, logical,
Right.
PSL. And I think that's pretty much where Tim was going.
Yeah.
There you go, nice and simple, as Tim just said. So PSL, practical, simple, logical. There you go. All right, I've got that now. How long have I known you? Now I'll just work that one out. Brilliant. Excellent. Now I'm going to go back to another. I'm sorry to break up the fun as such, but I'm going to go back to another boring thing. If I said to you, ISO accreditation, what would you say about that, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly for our customer base, it's detrimental to the customers that we're dealing with, the level of work that we're doing. But of course, all of that, PSL, it's fully sort of integrated anyway, and it's taking on board all the requirements of contract review, etc. And it's all sort of, easily managed, and it's great, really.
So pre-PSL, if going back in those awful dark days, if you're having an audit or did you have ISO, did you have the accreditation pre-PSL?
Yeah,
or PSL?
we've been always UCAS accredited since 2002, so 20 odd years now.
So pre-PSL, again, a dark and gloomy time. I can totally understand. If they're coming in to do their audit and things like that, would you look forward to that opportunity or those days?
It was a lot more. It was a lot more work. It was delving through paperwork and filing cabinets, and all a bit messy, time consuming. The last couple of audits we've basically just been on the PSL, and even the auditors have commented how much easier it makes their job as well. So, it was all smiles basically from all fronts.
There you go. So now you look forward to the auditors coming in.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe stretching
it's
out.
so much easier to pull up all the information. One thing Tara, Geoff's wife, shown us was that you can just do a report of transactional history of every job. So you've got everything from start to finish there to show the auditor.
Brilliant. So just essentially saving. It's simple to do, and I'm getting from this whole conversation very simple and saving you lots of time.
Definitely. Yeah, great.
There we go. Right. What else? Any other points we should cover, Geoff? That you want to? I put you on the spot there, didn't I?
I think, to be honest, we've covered most of it. I mean, I think one of the really, really successful points of the implementation at Eminem was the fact that Tim, you alluded to the fact that you went through a period of change within the business, maybe within the family and so on. And so when you make a big change in a business, there is some pressure because there's change. Change always creates some pressure, if you're realistic. But it's limiting the pressure and making sure it doesn't conflict with other things you're doing. So spacing out, doing it so it fits in with other requirements you have is key. Particularly in a smaller business. You juggle so many things, bring it in and make it work rather than bring it in as a headache. You don't want a headache.
I mean, the main concern was mainly getting all the staff to switch over from using the older system to now getting their head round to the new system. And of course, the pluses with PSL, where that helped out, is it's very easily customisable to how your business works. So, that was a major plus for us.
Tim, if I ask you, do you think, looking back now, do you think the staff took to it more easily than you thought they would do?
Yeah, I mean, in certain areas I do. We had to obviously give them a fair bit of training, but of course that's to be expected with anything. But once that training and, they'd gained the experience, we've been going gangbusters with it, so.
Brilliant. Yeah, but I think that's the same with anyway. We've got this great new system and not all staff are going to embrace it. But I tell you what, the majority of the times they get involved, get it done, and then they say, I wish we'd done it sooner. I think it's generally like that, isn't it?
Well, it's the old say-so that nobody likes change. We all get too comfortable with things, don't we? Even if we think, this is going to be better for us, there's always a bit of hesitancy there, so. But you just have to delve in, you have to take the plunge, and at the end of the day, you've just got to crack on with it, and that's what we've done.
And you're glad you've taken the plunge, I'm assuming?
Definitely.
Right, guys, I'm gonna. It has been thoroughly enjoyable. It really has, learning a bit about PSL, because always learning what it stands for, because it does stand for.
Me or Tim?
I don't know. I was listening and trying to write it down, but
simple, logical.
There you go. Brilliant. Thank you. Well, we didn't even practice this beforehand, did we? It's just straight off the cuff. That's brilliant. Great work. You're definitely getting a discount. I've already approved that with Geoff for you. So we've covered a lot, and hopefully the people listening to it, I've definitely enjoyed it. I really have. Anything else you'd like to add, Geoff?
No. Well, just really, Tim. Thank you, obviously, for your efforts. Over the years we've worked with you, and thank you very much for taking part in this today. Really
appreciate your PSL being there to help us. It's a two-way relationship, and we want to be successful, all of us moving forward. So long may that continue.
Absolutely brilliant. So again, I was initially disappointed because I didn't have a famous wrapper or any chocolates involved, but it has been a great thing. Just to summarise, I'm going to say that PSL, essentially, it's simple to use, saving lots of time, and you're getting a bespoke system out of it. That is all I'm going to add. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and engaging with us. I hope you've enjoyed this week's MTD podcast with the infamous Geoff from PSL Datatrack, and less infamous, I don't know, Tim, who is not a rapper, from Eminem. All the best, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me.
Take care, babe. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the MTD podcast. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. Find more episodes on mtdcnc.com.